name is Miguel Hernandez. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for the Natural Resources Agency, part of a larger team that it's called Salton Team Management Program Team. So we are a program comprised of 3 different state entities: the Natural Resources Agency, which is the one I'm with, but also an important partner is the Department of Water Resources, which is the one in charge of all the engineering part, all the infrastructure for these kinds of projects. And we also have our partners at the California Fish and Wildlife, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and they are the ones that bring all the scientists, the biologists, also help with the permitting. We had a quick question over here if the site is not open to the public, and like I said, it is not. However, we do have the ability to do tours, guided tours like this one today. So there's always an open invitation if folks want to get a group together. We can always set up some time and coordinate a visit with the group and take you guys out there to see the project or a similar project in the future. So again, to your question, it is closed to the public. It is an active construction site, so we want to make sure things are kept safe. Okay, so we are getting off. We were just at the visitor observation area. Some of you were able to have a chance to go up the ramp. That would be the sort of public access point once this public comes online, this project comes online, and that will be our observation area for the years to come. Over there where we just were exactly. To your right, you are seeing one of the first sort of milestones or first important elements of this project, which is we name it the interception ditch. And what it does, it's a ditch that intercepts water. It actually intercepts all the water that comes from the agricultural drains. And before the ditch was here, all the water was just being thrown into this area to your left. So in order for us to bring all the machinery and all the heavy equipment, we have to divert this water around the project. So we created this ditch as one of the initial steps to get construction and earth movement around here. So otherwise we would have been working over mud all the time. So this ditch goes all over the southern perimeter of the project in both directions. The one you see right now to your left kind of goes westbound into the sea. That water still goes to the sea. And as we move to the east side of the project, the flow it's the other way towards the east and north into the sea as well. So one of the first key elements of this project that was as simple as it could sound. It was a challenge for sure to get that going back in 2021 when this project was started originally. And actually this counts for 28 acres of pupfish habitat, one of the important and endemic fish in the region. Pupfish, yes. So in the future, if you have a chance to come back again in a few years, all of this that you see to your left, with some water and some vegetation out there, that will be covered in water. That's in a few years to come. Yes, you'll see once we get to the east side, which is where we're gonna see the east ponds and most of the wildlife. That will be exactly what you will see on this side, but just in a few years. Yeah, we're gonna get to that point, but over here as well. So all of this is part of the project footprint and will be covered in water. As you see, this water that's right here, this is actually from the recent rains that we had during Christmas and the New Year's. So that water has been there, and you can see the soil holds the water pretty good. Because of the actual composition of the soil. So, and also because the weather is kind of nice and it's not as hot as the summers, the water is able to stay here a little longer without much evaporation. So yeah, to some extent it will, but it's kind of like divided into different ponds. Yes. The question is if it's freshwater or saltwater. Really good question. It would actually be a combination of Salton seawater with the water coming from the New River. So we're mixing about 2/3 New River water, 1/3 Salton seawater, to be able to get to a level of salinity that's healthy for fish and eventually the birds to feed from, yes. And we'll see some of those components and how we're gonna mix the water. That's one of the important highlights of this project, that's just the mixing of the water and the infrastructure that's needed to make that happen. So the question is that if the New River, or that she has heard that the New River, there's a lot of nutrients from the agriculture, and if that's an issue for this project. Great question, and it's not. Perhaps there's high concentrations of selenium on that water, but us mixing with the New River, the Salton sea water with the New River water, we're able to achieve just that level that's enough for fish to thrive and live on. And also to make a plug on the New River, the Department of Water Resources, along with the Regional Water Quality Control Board and the City of Calexico, just wrapped up a project at the border, which is called the New River Improvement Project, which actually helps with the conditions of the water. All the water that's coming in from Mexico, it's being there's a kind of like a trash mesh that's collecting all those solids and taking them off the water, the New River water. New River Improvement Project. It's right at the border.
So none of this is
so along the way, you'll see. Question?
Can you talk a little bit about how agriculture works? Like, is this irrigation return flow type water then? And do they still have like the tiles under the field and you have to put extra water on? And, can we talk a little bit about how we get the quality that we get?
just around.
What issues there are?
But it goes.
That's okay.
Yeah, the question was how the agricultural flow works here. And yeah, you still have the tiles underneath the fields that are the water's running off into the canals. The canals all drain into.
What's the ratio, like the water's too salty coming out of the Colorado, right? To just put on there. I mean
No, the Salton Sea is salty. It's
well, no, but if you didn't flush out the salts, they'd build up over time, right? That's what the tiles are for?
Yeah, that's what the tiles are for.
What's the ratio of how many more times the kind of agronomic rate?
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, all the water that she flows off the tiles goes into the canals, goes into the New River, and then ultimately comes down into this project. Yeah.
What are the tiles?
What's that?
What are the tiles?
They're tiles underneath the agricultural fields
Pipes.
to drain the fields. Yeah. I don't know if they're everywhere, but they have them pretty. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Right. Yeah.
Not sure if y'all had mentioned this when we started, but this was a $209 million project. The original equipment came up. Yeah, $209 million project. Recently, we received $245 million from the Bureau of Reclamation, first significant investment in this Salton Sea, and that we're using to expand this project another 4,500 acres. So the first part of the project is already complete. You don't see it flooded because they're taking fill. You'll see all the fill that they're taking through here, and they're using it to build the berms over on the new expansion project. So if you look at your sheets. So there's different depths. They're anywhere from like 1 foot all the way to 6 or 8 feet. Yeah, 9 feet. And each pond will have different depths, and will have likely different salinities to sustain different types of fish. So target salinity of 20 to 40 parts per thousand. Yeah. What's that? question was the soil type. And yeah, they're clay soils mostly. Yeah, so the question is what kind of soil do we have here? And it's a really clay soil. And the reason why we're not flooding, again, like I said, is this is perfect kind of soil, and it's perfect soil to use to build the berms. And so we're actually saving quite a bit of money by not having to import soil from other places. Oh, there you go, there's Coyote. And so it's much more cost efficient to take the soil from the ponds, the existing ponds, and take them to use over in the new ponds that are being built. Coyote just back there. Yeah, they're actually all over the project.
Can you see the acre there? Yeah.
The question is it's a California project or federal? It's a California project. Yeah. Yeah, state of California. What's that? Oh. Yeah, like I said, the $245 million that was received in 2023, that was the first significant federal investment in this region for the Salton Sea. And that came through the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. And that was tied to a water conservation agreement between the water districts and Bureau and Riverside County and reclamation. Yeah, I mean, Miguel and I are doing outreach, and so we're normally giving tours here at this project. Also, over at Salton City, we have a veg enhancement project where we're establishing native vegetation on exposed lake bed. So we have about 1,700 acres almost completed in establishing new vegetation out there. So you'll see it's 2 phases. It involves putting down straw bales to stop the wind speeds at the ground level, and immediately we're seeing a 70% reduction in PM10 emissions from the site. And then we go in and plant in between the bales and downwind of the bales, and the bales are faced in the predominant wind direction, so it blocks the wind, protects the plants, and we have plants that are outgrowing the bales now in the last 2 years, and it's all being watered with groundwater. So we have pumps that are pulling out groundwater, so we're not using water from the Colorado no, it's all groundwater. Yeah, so it's being irrigated by drip, and it's very water efficient. They're helophytic desert loving plants, and as we start establishing them, we start weaning off the water, and eventually they'll live on their own without water. Mostly iodine bush. So she asked what kind of plants we're doing out there. It's mostly iodine bush. We have big salt bush. We have salt grass. Probably about 6 or 7 different types of native water and salt living plants.
Is that something people can go see?
Yeah, we have tours occasionally. We've had a couple tours out there. So the question is, can you go see that and tour that? Yeah, we'll be having tours throughout the year. It's very important if you can sign up to our newsletter. We'll usually announce when we're having tours like this, so that folks can sign up and we can take you out there and look at that project. To your earlier question on the other projects happening, so we have that site in Salton City, 2 sites called Clubhouse and Tule, Washington. We have another 93-acre site next to Bombay Beach as well, that we're doing the same thing. That one's tracking a little behind because we didn't find groundwater. We went 900 feet down, and we think because of fault activity over there that we didn't find any water. So that one is being, we're using the water from the local water district to get those plants started, and eventually we'll take those off water. Yeah. We have a few other projects under planning. We have one that's going through design right now over near Bombay Beach, on the west side of Bombay Beach. And that is a Bombay Beach Wetlands Enhancement Project. It takes all the flow coming from the from the fish farm and the natural springs, and that come down into the sea, and it grabs that flow and spreads it across, and we're creating wetlands there for again for species. Yeah, right up on the beach. Yeah, that's about 544 acres. So yeah, we got a lot of projects going on. We've got working on conceptuals for projects up at the north of the sea called North Lake Wetlands Project, which is the same concept. Expanding wetlands, removing non-natives, and spreading the water across the site, and growing native plants, and protecting fish and all that. So yeah, a lot of great projects. What's that? My background? Environmental horticulture. My background. Yeah. So I'm more a horticulturist. I'm not an engineer, but we have a lot of different disciplines working on these projects. We got civil engineers, we got environmental scientists, we got program managers, just different across the field, just a lot of different fields, disciplines. Yeah.
How many are involved in the project?
How many people are involved in the project? Well, this project, I think in our Salton Sea Management Program, we have about 30, and 30 employees. But on this project, at one time, at peak construction, we had about 200 people out here. A lot of local trades. We also have contractors that are doing those veg enhancement projects that I mentioned earlier. That's a local contractor to Grill County. So a lot of workforce, local workforce. A good local boost to the economy. A lot of the folks that do come from out of the counties, the state, in Westmoreland, Raleigh, all those the surrounding areas. So it's a really good economic impact to the region. Yeah.
Can I see that one right there?
Yeah.
So we with the first 70 million of that 245 million, we built an expansion east pond that we just opened and flooded last year. Along with that, we flooded the original east pond, which is what we're going to see right here. We're coming over the new river now, and so this is the area that you can see the big difference.
Wow, look at all the birds out there.
This is the area we just flooded over the last few months. Actually, yeah, it was actually in June, I think, when it was fully filled. But this is what you'll see over the areas that we just passed on the left. I mean, eventually that'll all be this right here. So you'll see different ponds. You'll see islands that we've created in the middle to protect the birds. You can see the little duck hunting stands out here that we left up there for birds to kind of hang out. We also put some perches, some man-made perches out there that you'll see throughout the project. So the question is, will this be open to people, to the public for bird watching? And I mean, eventually, I think we'll have to look at that. There's a new Salton Sea Conservancy coming online, and they're going to be tasked with O&M for all of the projects that our Salton Sea Management Program builds. And that'll be something that maybe they'll have tours or different, hours where folks can come out. But because it's a big site and there's a lot of operations and maintenance going on, and a lot of construction happening, I don't know that it ever be fully open to the public. So this is the water that's third Salton Sea water and 2/3 New River water. Yeah, so it's mixed, and we're going out to the pump station to see where the pumps bring in the water, and then our second stop will be the diversion structure. That's where the water is mixed in high turbulence, and then the gravity flows out into a sedimentation pond that suspends all the solids and drains them out, so that you get a cleaner water going out into these ponds. And this is all gravity flow. There's no pumps pumping water from pond to pond. This is all just sheet flow, gravity flow. So you can imagine all the grading that has to happen, the precision and all that, just to make the gravity work and she flows water from pond to pond. All the gates that you'll see from pond to pond are operated by a system back in our office, and it can be operated by phone, can be operated on the tablet, and it'll read the salinity, it'll look at the target salinity, and adjust the gates and open and close gates, and pull water in based on what salinity you want. Yeah, it's a really specialized system. Yeah.
What are you protecting there with that fence?
What's that?
What are you protecting with that barbed wire fence?
Was
that material? Which kind?
I saw the fence left. Yeah, in the storage area. Yeah, in the storage area.
Okay.
It's probably materials for O&M would be my guess.
Yeah, it's a storage area for materials for O&M. Eventually, when maintenance starts happening on the project.
Okay.
I just realized that. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Accident. I'll do my best to avoid it. Where did it go? Here.
Oh, right there.
Oh, can you slow down?
Well,
Yeah, the white one's right there. Is this only bill still? It was right back there. Yeah, I was
so it's got to be it's actually saying this project I haven't confirmed that, as I said. Yeah, they were here before about
The white goes up.
But still the pond is having an area. So it's a big project. The other projects that I mentioned.
Yep, right there. Yep. White one right there.
spent much money creating islands like this.
On there. Yep, on the, yeah.
Not part of this project. And it's like, I can take you out there and you can get some very interesting
Hello, everyone. Sorry. I'm Sam with the CDFW program. I'm an avian biologist with our group, and I've been working on this project for the whole time. So I'm just as excited about you guys to see all the birds finally using it, right? So, you know, out here we have a lot of the wintering birds on the islands. Those islands where you guys saw the big white birds, the pelicans, those are wintering birds. And we've seen them using the SCH ponds here, specifically over all of the rest of the Salton Sea during our last aerial surveys. So it's been really exciting to see them grouping up on these ponds and comparing that to the nearby landscape. And then the other birds that we're obviously seeing here is, you know, the white-faced ibis, the American coots, a lot of the variety of ducks, and then we get so many wintering shorebirds here. We have, you know, the whole suite of them, as you've seen. And this pond is a good example of how we left the residual vegetation. We didn't grade it away if possible, and that's provided a lot of opportunity for invertebrates and detritus to then provide that base of the food web there. And so even though it's only barely flooded up, we don't necessarily have a, you know, prime food base for pelicans. You can still see the birds foraging. You see a lot of those little shorebirds digging in. You can see the seabirds during the summertime catching small fish, so we knew they were actually getting some. And these islands that you see out there, like in the distance with that debris on it, that's what's supposed to function for like a craggy island that hopefully the birds can come settle top and make another colony on it, whether it's double-crested cormorants or pelicans, you know, that'd be great. And then these flat ones that you might see that have less debris on them, like this big one just to the left here, that's where it's very sandy, and we hope it'll support a lot of Lee's terns, Goville terns, you know, and black skimmers. So those are some of those target species we hope to support. Then we have these other little skinny islands that are spread around that just provide more landing spaces for the birds to rest and get out of the water, away from predators. You know, as the Salton Sea is, you know, that shoreline is racing away, there's less opportunities for the birds to sit on islands. You'll less and more as it changes, you know, as what shows up out there. Sometimes there's little islands the birds can hang out on the Salton Sea, but a month later it might look different. So here it provides a stable spot that they'll be able to come back to and rely on. So hopefully year after year they'll learn that they can come back to the SCH site, and we'll see more birds over the next wintering and the nesting years. So any questions about species, just let me know.
Thank you, Sam.
This is always
So this pond that you see that we've been seeing for the last 5-10 minutes, this is the east pond, kind of like the original east pond. This, and I say original because this project has changed its footprint different times as the project has progressed over the years. So this was the original east pond. It's about roughly about 1,300 acres of a surface area, and then in a little bit we're gonna get into the expansion area. Mario mentioned earlier about that expansion area that was funded initially by that federal investment. 70 million were used to go over that expansion area, which is roughly about 700 acres out there. So together they make about 2,000 acres of the project area. Like we said, total footprint it's about 9,500. So this is a little less than a third of the whole project area. So imagine this 3, almost 4 times all across the project area. And just to give you some reference, Disney California, it's about 500 acres. So these 2 ponds total about 4 Disneylands total. So just to give you some land or, you know, space reference. Yes, the white birds are pelicans, American white pelicans, yes. So another important piece of infrastructure that was built on this project, it's actually the causeway that we're on right now. This causeway was not here before the project started, so a little longer than a mile was built into these saline pump stations, so we're gonna get there in a little bit. So it's about a mile or so, and there's actually a pipeline down below the ground, and that's the pipeline that brings the water, Salton Sea water, into the diversion structure, which will be our second stop, and that's where the water is mixed. So just wanted to point that out. This was actually built on the water. We had water on both sides of this causeway. We don't have it on the other side yet, yeah, this was also one of the initial milestones for this project. So we were able to set up that pump station at the end of this causeway. So this is the berm that divides the original East Pond and the East Pond expansion. So this is the expansion area getting closer to the sea. And like I said, this one is about 700 acres of land being filled with water. It's the same water, same mix, yeah. At some point there will be different salinities between the ponds. Yes, yes. And also, you could say that it's different because this pond actually had some sort of original Salton sea water before we started filling in. So this one might be a little saltier than the other one.
That big pile, it looks like a pile of dirt. That's I think they were just, yeah, it's city standards. It's right
Right. So the question is if it's hydrogen sulfide, it's part of the New River, right? I think that they're, I'm not really sure 100%, but I will say the only element that's high in concentration in the New River will be selenium, which is different. It's a different thing from hydrogen sulfide. However, hydrogen sulfide, it is emitted from the Salton Sea, especially during the hot summers. You mentioned it, hydrogen sulfide is the gas, so with evaporation, hydrogen sulfide kind of becomes part of the earth, part of the Salton Sea.
now they're going apart. This area. This is just dry.
Yes, I put it.
So this is just studying water from this side. You see all those there.
Okay, so we are approaching our first stop. This is the Salton Pump Station. This is actually located on your little fact sheet. Hopefully everybody got one. If not, I have some extra ones over here. And there is that picture kind of in the center of the sheet right there. So this is the Salton Pump Station. This is the pump or the set of pumps that grab the water from the Salton Sea and bring it into the New River diversion structure, which will be your second stop. So this is the sort of the initial point of grabbing that water and then moving it so towards sort of the center of the project, which is again the New River diversion structure. So we'll stop here for a little bit. Make sure you all have your hard hats on at all times. Stay within the group. If you need to go to the restroom, we have one in the back of the bus. And make sure that you take as many pictures as you like. Okay, so we're heading on to our next stop, which is the New River diversion structure. That's the bottom picture on your fact sheet. That's actually where the water is mixed, the Salton Sea water and New River water. So keep in mind, the pump station, this first stop, this is what the water, or where the water gets grabbed from and brought into our next stop. So any thoughts on this first stop here at the Salton Pump Station? Perhaps any questions? Yes, it grabs Salton Sea water, grabs the water, pumps it all the way to our second stop, which is kind of like the center part of our project. Okay, and I just want to bring one point that was made during the stop. It was mentioned that the lifespan of this project is about 35 years. when completed or after completion. So I just want to make the plug that there's also some parallel work that's happening as this project is being built. One of them is the formation of a Salton Sea Conservancy. Mario touched on it, but that conservancy will take on the operation and maintenance of this and other projects that are being implemented and completed by our program. So this conservancy will play a key role on the lifespan of this particular project. So that gives the opportunity of making things, keeping things in good condition so we can extend the lifespan of all the different equipment, the machinery, the gates, and everything that's happening here, so we can fulfill its lifespan. Also, in parallel, there is work that's happening for a long-term restoration of the Salton Sea. I mentioned this project is part of a 10-year plan, but there's more to come. We have those nearly 30,000 acres of projects that we have to deliver, but there's more after that. So before we hit those 10 years, we started a process with our partners at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is called the Imperial Streams and Salton Sea Ecological Restoration Feasibility Study. I think I'm close.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, so I'll try this again. So it's the Imperial Streams and Salton Sea Aquatic Ecosystem Restoration Feasibility Study. There you go.
Who made that?
Yes, really fancy name for a study with the federal government. So, so our partners, in collaboration with the state of California and the Salton Sea Authority, we're looking at this feasibility study, looking at different alternatives, different proposals that have been brought in over the decades for the long-term restoration of the Salton Sea. So once we're able to complete that process, which we kind of about a couple of years in, which is kind of like the starting point of this process, at some point there will be a plan or strategies or project, if you will, that will take a look, or that will determine what the future restoration of the sea could look like. So we mentioned 35 years for this project. However, that feasibility study is taking into account this and the other projects that are part of that 10-year plan. So could that take the form of leveraging this existing project? Could that take the form of expanding the project? That could be, it could just be many different things within the project.
It's a duck hunter and decoy spread. Duck decoy?
Yes, it's a duck decoy over here. So yeah, there is that process. So again, we're kind of kicking off that process. We're about 2 years in. Also, we have about 6 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, to get some conclusion to that process. So we'll have something on the works before those 35 years, before the end of the lifespan of this project. So this is exactly where the New River meets the Salton Sea. This is the end of the New River right here. It's actually part of the Colorado. Yeah, but it goes actually from the United States, it goes into Mexico, and then it comes back. The 1905, that's when the sea was filled. Yeah. So one thing to mention about the feasibility study is that when there is a sort of conclusion, or there is a plan in hand or project, there will be a cost share that comes with it, meaning that the federal government will take about 65% of the cost of what that project is. So they will pitch in with that 65%, then leaving the state with the rest of the total cost of that project as well. So it is very important that we move through that process in partnership, because we want to get things done the right way and what's best for the Salton Sea. But more importantly, get that federal funding allocated for the Salton Sea. Yeah. So yeah, good question. In terms of how you advocate for funding, you can reach out to Congressman. Currently it's Raul Ruiz, who's the one in for this area. Yes, but you can pretty much tell everybody, so everybody say yes when that comes to their desk.
And Senator Padilla.
And Senator Padilla as well.
Yeah, they're working on something right now.
So they are actively working on something for the Salton Sea as well. They've been champions for many years. Before it was also Assemblymember Garcia that was able to get us the funding for this particular project. Now it's Assemblymember Jeff Gonzalez. So yes, talk to the legislature and help us get them funding that we need to get this project, these different projects moving forward. Okay, just to point out real quick, another important feature here is the this roosting purchase that you see to your left. We put those in there so we can have birds use that and be kind of like on their own, away from predators. Just a different feature. Instead of being an island, it's more of a little perch for them to sit there, relax, but also have the opportunity to nest if they feel like it. And as you've seen, there are different types of islands all around, some loafing islands, nesting islands, and all of them with different elements or organic material, if you will, to have them be there and just find some kind of refuge or just find a spot to be safe, feel safe, and nest. It is the new river coming in to the project. Another last look at the ponds and the large amount of birds out here. We're heading back to our departure point, back to the visitor observation area. So let's look at the east pond, the white pelican that's over there. Say goodbye and keep that picture in mind, because at some point we will be able to see something similar to this on this other ponds that are still in need of water. So keep that in mind, make that picture, bring it over with you to this other ponds, and please help us share the word, or share about the work that we're doing. Tell everybody, tell your vecino, your tia, your abuelito, everybody. Tell them what's going on here at the sea, what the state of California is doing for the Salton Sea. And also share that there is more work to be done, because that's a true fact. There is a lot of work that still needs to be done for the Salton Sea.
My feedback is that, if you take that swimmable volume of water is going to be
For that particular yes. Yeah, so more or less total cost of the most important infrastructure, which is the new river diversion structure, the floodgates, all of that. It's about $209 million. Yeah. All the excavation, all that original work, part of the original footprint. But then that federal funding that came in, those $245 million, that's where the expansion came to be. Yeah.
So what's your title?
So as we drive back to the observation area, I just want to make a plug for you all to subscribe to our monthly newsletter. If you go to our website, there's a link in there. Our website is saltonc.ca.gov. V as in Victor. Again, that's saltonc.ca.gov.